Hello, everyone. Welcome back to IDRiM podcast. And today we will explore about what's happening in IDRiM because IDRiM Society just has launched a new award, especially for the researchers, students that still struggling to get their PhD because the IDRiMs now launched an award called the Outstanding Dissertation Award. We will discuss this with me and Mark, especially, but perhaps for first, I will let you, Mark, to share what is this award before we going on to the eligibility.
Yeah, sure. So this award I know has been discussed within IDRiM for a few years now, and it's an initiative to try and recognize some of the best outstanding dissertations or theses, depending on where you're based, at the doctoral level, especially in the field of integrated disaster risk management. So the award basically it's to try and give some initiative, some incentive, for some of the best students to try and get their research, more. So in the award, it's designed to be very inclusive at the international level. We recognize that not everyone is going to write their PhD in English. So we do obviously allow external ones from other languages, French, Spanish, Japanese, etc. in. But there obviously we'll talk about the criteria in a minute. There are going to be ways that we can do this. We can sort this. So the way that it will be all done is basically the award you'll have, and we'll go through this about in a minute, but it will be you or your supervisor will fill in a form, which will then be given to a committee who will review it and trying to score it and judge it on which one is the best. One of the reasons why IDRiM thinks that this is, a great idea is basically it's to ensure, the society's long-term goals about inclusivity, and almost like the way I find with IDRiM is it's almost, we are relatively small. It's more like and one of the advantages of that is it's very much like a family atmosphere. So a lot what we find is that the young researchers, we try to put our arms around them, give them a bit more of a helping hand, guide them in this field. And this is just the next step towards that, where we give, we look after and encourage young researchers. And we've done that with the YSS, which I'll talk at the end about this year.
All right, so it's basically we got the brief explanations of what is an award, and like moving forwards with the eligibility, it's basically it's open, not well, I mean almost for everyone with PhD, but the sad thing is like it's only within the 3 years of the after your PhD dissertations or doctoral thesis accepted. So it's basically it invites all the one who obtained the PhD from 2023, 2024, 25, and 26. So it's basically only this range. So, and these dissertations from the one to be nominated should be already formally accepted by the university they belong to. And as Mark mentioned earlier, it's basically not necessarily nominated by the supervisors, or perhaps also can be nominated with someone as who holds the faculty members in any university that they know, okay, well, perhaps this person is has great dissertations. I want to nominate these persons. So not limited to the supervisors, but as well as the one who wants to nominate themselves. So if you believe that you made a significant contribution as great thesis during your PhD, you can nominate yourself, and we open for that because perhaps it is difficult as many faculty members dealing with many PhD, and we also we like to invite more sub-nominations in here to know that we can get as many number of candidates to get these awards. So as we are coming from the IDRiM Society, of course, the awards should be involved in the integrated disaster risk management. So the one that will be judged to get this award must have the dissertations or thesis in the topic of first, disaster risk assessment and modeling, disaster consequences analysis, which including impacts, all social impacts, economic or any impacts from disasters, risk communications, disaster management and governance, resilience and adaptations from any different disruptions like climate change and many more. And lastly, policy, engineering, and social aspect of disaster risk. So it's basically centered on disaster risk, how we manage it, how we govern it, how it's actually affect to our daily life. If your PhD of any of you listeners who has PhD within these 3 years and centered around these topics that we just mentioned right now, you're welcome to apply or nominate anyone that you know has a great PhD. Okay, and lastly, it's basically, Mark already mentioned it, although we will deliver the award in English and the dissertation or the thesis not strictly in English, but it will be with the caveat letter that how we can actually accept the thesis not in English. So it's basically if you write in any other language, in your local language, you still can nominate that to be considered as the Outstanding Dissertation Award. And lastly, it's basically, this is open for everyone, not necessarily as IDRiM members, but we encourage you, if you haven't been a IDRiM members, or you know someone who has great dissertations or thesis who is not IDRiM members, you can nominate them as well as recommend them to join our society. It will be great for us in IDRiM society and the one who be nominated. Now, let's go for the technical one. With nomination materials, we have like some documents that we need to prepare. Can you help to introduce and explain what kind of document that we need in this nomination, Mark?
Yeah, sure. So there is a package you have to put together. We try not to make it too big. So there is 4 main components that any nomination to have, and a 5th one if your dissertation is not English. So the way that we would do this is that all the package has to be written in English. That's the first thing I need to get out there. If you write in any other language, it probably won't be accepted by the committee because English is the working language of the IDRiM Society. So the first bit is you'll need a nomination letter, and the nomination letter, must include the name of the person who's been nominated, their current affiliation, email address, and the year of the doctoral degree completion. So this is it's a very simple, straightforward letter that basically introduces this person, and you're putting them forward for the IDRiM Outstanding Dissertation Award. The second document is a short summary. So this would be written basically by the student themselves, and it's going to be it has to be very concise. We only accept 1,000 words, so just a little bit bigger than a regular conference abstract, so about 2 or 3 times bigger. Again, in English, as I mentioned. And what you've got to do is you've got to explain the significance of your research. So why is your research, important, and it's been in the field of integrated disaster risk management? how it's original and innovative. So all should have an element of originality to them. That because it's always about. I remember by originality, we're not talking about big steps. Like we're not talking about like you advancing a huge amount. Of this big finding about social elements of what's causing disasters. We're just talking about little bits. So there's going to be some of that, and also its relevance. Was it relevant to integrated disaster risk management? Most will have some, most in our field will have some element of that. So just try and, latch it on. The third document would be your dissertation itself. So you have to send through a PDF version of your full dissertation for it to be read through. But it can in another language as well, if it's obviously not in English, but this is where you'll also have to have an additional requirement. If your dissertation is not written in English, what we need is what we call a long summary of what the dissertation is about. So what we try and do is ask you to up to 20 pages of A4 to basically summarize the entire dissertation in English. However, if your dissertation has already had elements of it already been published in an academic journal, or has been accepted it to be published in an academic journal, which is written in English, we accept that instead because it's still forming parts of what your dissertation is about. So this bit is, so if you're writing, say, in Japanese, but you've published an article based on your dissertation in English, send the article through. That will be classed as your summary of your dissertation. The final one is we would ask for your curriculum vitae or CV to give us including the academic background, your history in academia, how you've advanced through the time, and also your publication records as well. So we know some PhD students don't publish a lot. That's fine. I admit myself, I had very few process. Others may have more, so that's absolutely fine. So basically, what we're trying to do with all these documents is to get a sense of the dissertational thesis itself, and also get a bit of an idea of the character of the person behind who's writing this as well. So, Harry, we've talked about, basically what it is. We've talked about what is needed to be nominated. How's it going to be reviewed? Because, and how we're going to select different, candidates and eventually to the person who's going to win the award this year.
All right. So it's basically, we already discussed what is the award is about. It's basically and what we're looking for and what is needed to be nominated. And now how it's moved forward after we receive all the nominations. All the nominations will go to review process, which will be administered by the operating committee appointed by IDRiM Society. So it's basically this ad hoc committee that will be formed specifically for this award. So for its nominations, after it pass the eligibility, considering all the things that they submitted, there will be 2 or more reviewers to review all the nominations, including the dissertations and the short summary and the curriculum vitae, of course. So it's basically there will be reviewers that's similar to the journal publications process, or also it's very similar to the PhD defense process, where it goes to external experts to actually to review that this dissertation is actually what we are looking for in IDRiM society. And these reviewers is not necessarily from IDRiM, as we will receive for many different nominations outside IDRiM as well. So it's basically the reviewers can also come from outside the IDRiM as well. So it's basically this committee will the one who determines which one will get this award. Now, there are 4 things that this committee will look in its nominations and rank it. It will be based on, first, the originality and innovations of the research. So since the topics is quite broad, although it's centered in risk, it's difficult perhaps to actually compare. It's one of nominations. So they will look at how original it is and innovations that emerge from this research to the nominee's journey in the PhD. And now, of course, since it is centered to disaster risk management, we'll look at how it contributes to the field itself. Since this is a scholarly articles, we will also check whether the methodology that have been included during their PhD is sound, and how it's actually catered to the scholarly quality of a PhD itself. So it's basically it's similar to what's the PhD defend itself, and then clarity and overall quality of the presentation. It's mean how the thesis has been written, whether it's clear to read and easy to read, and any other qualities that it's being brought with these nominees. And after this, the operating committee will choose which one will be the recipient of this new award, which is I'm very much looking forward to see, because like I think the IDRiM society will be enriched with these 2 awards. We know many experts that outside our society. Now we will come and know a society, and hopefully they also will join the society after becoming the process in this award. Now, Mark, it's very enticing, isn't it? And what do they get if they get awarded for this award?
Yeah, sure. So, if you are lucky to win this award, you'll receive formal recognition at our IDRiM annual conference. So this year in Bali, in Indonesia. You'll be invited to give a short presentation based upon your thesis or dissertation. You'll receive a certificate of recognition from the IDRiM Society. This, if you are lucky to go to Bali, will be presented to you in person at our awards closing ceremony. But if not, we will obviously post it to you. And lastly, and this is quite a unique opportunity, is you'll be offered an opportunity to publish your entire dissertation as a monograph within the IDRiM book series. So the IDRiM book series is published by Springer, but of course that is subject to any reviews that need to be done and potential revisions just to clean it up in terms of sometimes we need even though it's gone through, but there's still some bits that need tidying up around the edges. I know that mine, I look back at it now and I can see bits of mine. I don't know about you, Harris, where you can still tidy up your dissertation up even further. So obviously the editors will be able to provide some of them comments as well. On top of that, I just also like to, because that's the IDRiM Outstanding Dissertation Award, I just want to remind people as well, whilst we're talking about Bali, that the abstracts are still open for this year's IDRiM conference, and they close. This goes out on the 24th, so they close on Sunday, the 1st of March. So that's your last day to get them in. And just to remind you, we do have our Young Scientist Session award within the conference itself. So basically, anyone who's never been to an IDRiM conference, young scientists get an opportunity to present their research alongside senior researchers. Everything's exactly the same, but the senior researchers will score the young scientists. If you get a top 3, you will receive an award from the IDRiM Society and a certificate of recognition that you have, came in the top 3. So basically, come and join us in Bali. And if you are interested, as I mentioned, in the Outstanding Dissertation Award, that one has a slightly different timescale to submit. That has to be submitted by the 15th of May. So we're talking about 2.5 months away. And at the bottom of this this video, we will, put information of where to submit this, the portal. And if you've got any questions, you can contact, of course, the IDRiM Secretariat, who will be able to provide any additional information for people if you need any more. Anything else, Aris, on this?
So I mean, yeah, that's the information that we already distributed to all to you listeners. So we expect quite a big numbers, hopefully, to be nominated in these new awards, because I think it's amazing because the way IDRiM has been trying to foster and nurture the young scientists to have a foothold as a launching their careers. It's great. Now, when we're talking about that, we also have several episodes in the past and perhaps in the futures that actually highlight all the PhDs recently graduated PhDs in this podcast. And it's been a joy for us to actually talk about what they achieve during their PhD and how their research can actually help not only the scientific communities but also the community in general to become more resilient with disasters. What I want to discuss after this is actually the implication of the award, Mark, because like you have been several years and with me as well in the recent years handle the YSS awards. Now we have new awards, which is actually also coincide with these awards itself. So what do you think about this award in collaboration with YSS? I'm not sure, collaboration or even conflicting. What do you think about this? Is something like whether it will enrich more YSS or is actually the next step after receiving the YSS award than going to this award?
I think it enriches it because what we find is that most YSS participants are actually still doing their PhD. Also, I think that I also say there are 2 types of academic: those who can talk and those who can write. I know that I'm definitely the talker rather than the writer. So what I would say is that actually, if you are someone who's better at writing, this is your opportunity. For the first time, there's an award for you, rather than in IDRiM, someone who just talks, who can get the point across very well verbally. So I think they do complement each other very well. It doesn't mean that it's going to replace it because, as I mentioned, they're completely different skill sets. So actually, what probably ends up happening is that those who can participate in the YSS, my hope is, because a lot of them are PhD students, but they will eventually go for this Outstanding Dissertation Award. So they basically come like full circle and they've completed in both awards at some point. I mean, I kind of wish, I'm not the best writer. I admit that. I kind of wish I had this opportunity when I was a student to see, what other people outside my institution thought of my dissertation. I don't know about yourself. Would you like that? And I know you're grinning because I know you're actually eligible for this award still.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm considering it, but let's wait and see because the world is fast, and I believe there are many people outside there is actually writing much better than me. But I mean, like it's like since I got my dissertation in 2024, it's basically I'm eligible for this. So it's basically enriched because now we have a path for the young scientists in IDRiM, which is like you come to the conference and then compete in the YSS as a presenter. So basically, you present highlights of the research, and then let's say you got awarded, and then you have another opportunity actually to highlight your research or yourself more by submitting these nominations. So it's basically this is I think perhaps we are the only society, especially in disaster risk reduction, is actually providing this opportunity path in research. That's basically if you got this kind of awards, let's say simultaneously or in continuity, then it will give you a boost for your career in the academics. Not only that, it's basically also one avenue for you to actually make your research is become known to the world, because one of the benefits that you receive is basically you will publish the book on your own. I know that perhaps in many social studies, producing a book is perhaps one part of their academic journey, but for many people who works in natural scientists and engineering, which is like also very related to disaster risk management, didn't publish book at all. We just like write or doing simulations and then doing the analysis like that. But I mean, like if you can use this opportunity to publish the book for your own, then it's very great. Now, perhaps we can discuss more on this, particularly like what do you think how long it will take to review all those PhD? Because like you did your PhD, I did my PhD, and basically it's such a long process to do this, and like we inviting a reviewer, perhaps like many people wondering that whether how long will it be? Looking at all the long dissertations, it will take I think 2 months, 3 months.
I was thinking 2 months.
Yeah,
It depends on the person.
yes.
For me, it would probably take longer. If I was honest. But yeah, 2 months, I reckon. But it'll depend on the committee, who are reviewing these, how long it'll take. So just a reminder that there are two. You're going to get at least 2 people who are going to review your dissertation. So it takes some time, to be done. So I mean, if this is, you submit the 15th of May. I mean, personally, and this is not from an IDRiM point of view right now, it's going to take until at least July to find out the winner. And that's a very minimal, I think. So we'll see. Obviously, we're not involved in that process. We've just been given information to promote this. So we're just surmising here about the timescale before you'll find out.
And perhaps that many of you who's worrying because like we both understand that there are many ways of writing a PhD. Now, whether you put it as a single series of its own or whether it's collection of the publication that you have, do not worry, because like in the review process, we will not look at that, but we look at all those points, whether it's original and innovative enough and can bring great contributions to the field as with sound methodology and great quality. And basically, it's clear and can help us to understand better on the decision. So, regardless of how you write the PhD and what type it is, it's basically no problem for us. So submit it. If you know someone somewhere that you think that it's create a PhD, dissertations or thesis, or you yourself believe that you have great contribution for this PhD during your life, so you can just submit it and nominate yourself. Now, do you have anything more to discuss, Mark, about this award?
No, I think we've got everything from what I've seen from our notes out there. Just please, do apply. You never know. You might actually find that you might win this award, and I mean the prize of winning the award is big.
Okay then. So that's it, everyone. So please do apply for this award. And if you have any questions, you can just contact all the secretariats that will be put the emails in the episodes. So, and we will come back with you again with another podcast after this. So see you next time.